Welcome to the second session of Minukuu tutorials on how to resolve file reading errors in R or RStudio. In the first session, we looked at how to resolve the file access error, which is quote-unquote error in file into brackets file comma rt, then they will write cannot open the connection. This usually occurs when we are trying to read data into R or import data into R. It could be a problem that has to do with the suffix. Probably you haven't written the file path very well. If it's a .csv file, you might have ended up writing .text or something, then that could give us this error. We also said sometimes we might have changed the location of the file. So in other words, what do we call it? The file path has changed. So we're supposed to copy the new file path, but sometimes trying to import data, we might have forgotten that we've displaced our file. It's no longer in the folder in which we imported it the first time. So this could also give us this error. I wouldn't go much into it. If you have missed this first session, look right below this video in the description box and you'll find a link leading to the error in file comma into brackets file comma rt cannot open the connection. You will find a link to this particular a link leading you to this particular video. So we just move straight to the next file reading error, which actually has to do with the working directory. So this one I read, quote unquote, they would say error in readChar, something like this, and you see con comma 5l useBytes is equal to true, whatever, and they'll say cannot open what should I say, cannot open the connection, just like so this another thing that has to do with file reading, and this one has to do with your working directory. For instance, when we save, let's say when we actually look at what your working directory is, your working directory is more or less a folder that you direct R to save data from your workspace and everything into it. I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. And at the same time, you direct R to read data from your working directory. So it's just like a folder, or if you want a what do we call it, a file path, let me call it a folder. You understand? It's a folder with a file path, of course, that that directs R to save data into that particular folder or to read data from that particular folder. So you can write data into that particular folder and you can read data from that particular folder. It could be a folder on your desktop. For instance, when you are to save, let's say your working directory is just more or less like that folder that when you save your script, when you save your workspace or your working environment, when you do whatever that you do, for instance, when you install packages and what have you, some of the data can be stored in your working directory. So your default working directory could be anything. It could be for instance, for me, it's in my documents in the C drive, but I can set it to any other folder, even on the desktop. So the second, like I said, this error has to do with it's a working directory error, in the sense that sometimes if you haven't, for instance, if you instruct R to load data, this is actually, for the first one had to do with reading, you get me, it had to do with reading, like importing data into R. This one has to do so often with loading. When we try to load data, for instance, when we try to load our workspace, we've already saved some workspace and we are trying to load a workspace, we are often confronted with this problem. That is when the working directory does not correspond with the folder which contains the workspace that we saved, or any kind of data that we are trying to load. If the working directory of your RStudio does not correspond with the actual folder in which you've stored the R workspace or any kind of data that you are trying to load, then you will have this problem. So in short, what we are going to do is we are going to learn how to set our working directory and also resolve this common problem that I just mentioned, readChar, whatever. And then finally, we also look at how to clear your workspace, how to save your workspace or your working environment, and how to load it, without having any any working directory error. So with that said, or with that being said, let's move on. Right now, like I said, we just follow this step by step. We'll first of all look at how to set your working directory. So let's quickly do that. So to set your working directory, first of all, it's important to know where your actual working directory is. So to know your working directory, we usually use the command. Okay, let me use, for instance, let me try to make things clear. Know your working directory. Know your working directory. All right. So to know your working directory, you use the command get working directory, something like this. So get working directory. I hope it's clear. Let me zoom. Something like this. You simply type get working directory. Sorry, get working directory. This is a command. So if I should execute this, so if I should run it, let's see what happens. R shows me that my work directory is in documents. That's disk C. That's my default working directory. As you can see, it's in disk C. So it's actually in disk C, and then this is the piece. This is the username, and this is the folder in which my working directory, or the folder that is serving as my working directory, that's actually in documents. So disk C in the folder in the documents folder. Let me show you that quickly. So if I should open my Windows Explorer, okay, and then if I should click on my disk C, which is somewhere here, if I should click on this PC, and this is my disk C. If I should open I don't have to open it, but if I should just click on disk C here, let me zoom for you to see. All right, within disk C, I have my documents folder here, and then within my documents folder, I think it's clear. You can find R here, and this is my default working directory. So you see there are some packages that I've installed. A lot of data is contained inside here. However, I can set this default to working directory to any preferred folder of mine. I have the choice, you understand? So to do this, to set your working directory, let me show you how to do that. Like I explained earlier on, what that means is that when I install, let's say when I save graphs, for instance, if I should plot something, I am to save it. If I should save my workspace, I will show you later on how to save your workspace. If I should, anything that I do, all those documents will be saved in the documents folder. That's my default working directory, but I can set it to anything at all, to any other folder. I can set it to a folder located on the desktop and whatever. And at the same time, what that means is if I am to load a particular file into R, for example, if I'm to load my workspace later on, I must make sure that my working directory corresponds with the location of my workspace or any data or file that I'm trying to load. Because if the working directory or the path to, or the file path does not correspond with the working directory that what should I say, I've set, or my default working directory, or the working directory that I've set my R to use, then what that means is R wouldn't be able to locate the the data that I'm trying to import, or I wouldn't say, or the let me say the data, or you could call it whatever, the file that I'm trying to load, I wouldn't be able to recognize it if my working directory does not correspond with its location. So now let's look at we've looked at how to know your working directory. We said we should use the get working directory command. And then if you want to set your working directory in RStudio, it's very simple. If you are the type who doesn't like writing a lot of code, you can simply come and click on session. If you want to set your working directory, you simply click on session, and then you come to set working directory. Then you come to this one, choose directory. For example, if I click on choose directory, I can decide to set my working directory to be on, let's say, the desktop. So I can come and click on, let's say, desktop, desktop, and then within the desktop, for instance, I can create a new folder and I can call it tutorial, for example, tutorial. So henceforth, what that means is all my files will be saved in tutorial. And in case I'm trying to read a folder or a file or into R, then I must make sure that that file that I want to read is found in the folder tutorial, else R cannot do it. So if I should say save, that is done. Another way, I wouldn't stress much on that, but in case maybe you are not using RStudio, I would show you another command. For example, if you are using R, how do you use the code that you have to enter in order to set your work directory? I'll show you that one. So we have tutorial being created here. As you can see, this tutorial, our work directory folder is here, right here. Tutorial is created here. Now we'll create another work directory, a different work directory for that matter. We will not use tutorial using the second method that I want to show you. If you want to use the code, let me write here. We say set your work directory. How do you set your work directory? How to set okay, so to set your work directory is very simple. You have to use the command. Simply you say set work directory, as we've said it. So yes, a set work directory, set work directory, you see it, and you open parentheses, and then what you have to do is that you simply come to wherever you want to set your work directory to. If I want to put it in drive D, for instance, I can just come to the drive D and come and create let's say create a folder here and do it. But preferably I will just put it on the desktop. So if I want, I can delete what I created and create a new one, or I can rename this folder. I don't know, whatever we want to do. Let's create another work directory. For instance, we create a work directory that I will name. Let me just create any folder on the desktop. For instance, let me name it tutor1 for it's just a name, or let's name it work directory. So that let me name it work directory. Okay, so after naming it work directory, I now want to use this one. I want to use this one as my work directory. So what I have to do is that I'll just right click on it. Sorry, I don't know why. Okay, so I'll right click on it. I don't know why it has double this thing, and then click on properties. So when I click on properties, let me take it again so that it will be clear. All you have to do is to right click on the comment. So okay, I don't know why this bullshit. You right click on the folder that you've created, then you click on properties. When you click on properties, you click on security, and then you copy the full file extension, as you can see. So you just simply copy the full file extension here, you select it and then you copy it. So as you can see, this is a full file extension. We right click on the folder that you want to use as your file directory. You click on properties, you click on security, and then you copy it. Control C to copy it. Now you come to your what do we call it, and just come and place it here to your RStudio, put quotation marks, and then you place it here. And since Windows use backslash, R uses what we call it, // so you put // you remove all the backslashes and put // you could also put 2 backslashes, it'll work. So right now, if I should execute this, I'm re-instructing R to use this particular folder, known as this particular folder that we created on the desktop called work directory, as our new work directory actually. So right now, if whatever that I do will be saved into our work, this particular folder, and no more in my documents or even in the what we created tutorial. Right now, the work directory has changed from documents. We change it to tutorial. Now we've changed it to another folder called work directory. So you see that right now my work environment is clean. I don't have anything in it, so I haven't yet done anything. Let's do a couple of things. Let's try to maybe read in some data into R, or let's do something. So I have a CSV file here on the desktop, so I'll try to read it into R. So I just right click on it. Let me do it once again. Simply right click on the CSV file, then I'll click on properties just to copy the file path, security, and like we did the first time, then we copy the file extension. We want to copy this, we want to import this CSV file. So if I should come to your RStudio, let me say data read.csv into brackets. Let me paste this. I want to read this file into R. Okay, so let's execute this. Run, select it and click on run. Okay, so we've executed this particular file. Print data, so let's print data, and we have our data imported, as you can see. So we have our data imported. Very good. Now we could do a couple of things. Maybe let's just create a vector, and this particular vector, we will name it v is equal to, let's say, we concatenate, let's say 2 3 5. It's okay. Let's execute this vector too. We can also calculate, for instance, let's say the mean of number. Let's calculate the mean of number. So just say mean into brackets data, then we select the variable number within data. So dollar, use the $sign to select the variable number, and let's see what that gives us. That gives us 10. That's okay. At least you see that right now in our work environment, right now it's no longer empty. We now have a couple of things. So right now, I think we've looked at, first of all, we've already looked at how to know your work directory. We've looked at how to set your work directory. Now we'll look at how do we save your workspace. So how to save your workspace. Let's quickly do that. How to save your workspace. How to save your workspace or working environment. Workspace space, also known as work environment. That's what is here. How do you save your workspace? In other words, all that you are doing here, how do you save all the objects like the vector that we created, v, or even data. All these constitute, your workspace or your work environment. And you can, as you can see over here in your work environment, you can find everything here. This is your work environment here, and these are the objects that are saved there. We have data, then we have what, vector, 2 objects so far. So we can't save, in case we save our workspace, the next time we come, we don't have to, maybe load the script and come and execute each of these commands. We can just continue from where we stopped by simply loading the workspace. This is the importance of saving your workspace. All right, so let's quickly save the workspace and see what happens. So to save this workspace, or let me say work environment, okay, so as soon as we save this particular workspace, the workspace will be found in the work directory that we set. Remember, we set the work directory from the default, which is usually my documents, to a folder that I call tutorial, and later changed it to a folder that we called work directory. So as you can see, currently this is the folder that we created and called it work directory. If I should open it, there's nothing in it. Currently there's nothing in the folder, even though there's this R logo making it seem as if there's something inside. There's nothing in it. It's an empty folder. So now, as soon as we finish saving our R workspace, the folder, the R workspace file or data will be saved in this particular empty folder, since we set it as our work directory. So to do that, we have a choice. You can, if you are using RStudio, you can simply click on session, and then you click on, you go down and you see save workspace. Else you can use the code by simply using save.image into brackets. You write the name, whatever name. You can give any object that you want to use to name your R workspace. So we can call it workspace, for instance, workspace. Okay, we are calling it workspace. Then you put .r data to show that it's an R image file. R data is the image of our work environment. That's why we call it image file, R image file. So this is how it is. You could have given it any name of your choice, but this has to be maintained. .r data has to be maintained. That's the suffix for R image file. So after which we simply select it and execute. Okay, now if I should come to the desktop and open this folder, you realize that we now have our R image file, or our R workspace, which is saved here. Now, what do we do next? To prove to you that after saving this particular file, we can load it, and then we can just continue from where we stop. Even if we quit R, I will try to show you something. What we'll do is that we'll clear the workspace right now. Since we have saved the workspace, we'll clear R's memory. So how do we clear R's memory or the workspace so that all that we've done will be erased completely? So let's do that. How to clear R's memory, or if you want, you can put it there, R's memory or the workspace. How do we clear it, or the work environment, whichever term you want to give it? How do we clear it so that nothing would exist? We use simply the remove command. So you use remove into brackets, then you say list is equal to ls. In case it's not clear, I can zoom for you to see properly. So you say list is equal to ls, you open parentheses. This is the command that we use to clear R's memory. That's to clear the workspace. So let's execute that and see what happens. Simply select it and execute. Sorry. So let's execute and see what happens. If I should execute this command, see that the workspace is cleared. Right now, there's nothing here. There's nothing in the environment right now. Okay, and what we'll now do is that, assuming, just to prove to you that the memory has been cleared, right now, if I should say v, as we did v, if I should say show v, nothing, v is nothing, because the memory is cleared. You see that the object v cannot be found. If I should say print data or mean of whatever, it would give me an error because we've cleared the memory. So right now, I will decide to quit R and restart R and show you something. So let's quit R. It's asking me, do I want to save the workspace? I say no, I don't want to save the workspace. So we've decided to quit R. Let's see what happens. Now after quitting R, let's restart R by just opening R. Okay, so we still have our script. Okay, but now the workspace remains empty. As you can see, the workspace remains empty. Now, what we are going to do is that we will load, what do we call it? We will load the workspace and see whether we can continue from where we stopped. So like I told you, if I should write V again, V still remains empty. We cleared the workspace, we decided to restart, so everything is cleared. Now how do we load our workspace, the workspace that we saved here? We can load this particular file inside here that we saved, and as soon as we load it, we can continue from where we stopped. So let's load it. To load it, we simply have to right click on it and then click on properties. Let me show you once again. Let me zoom for you to see properly. You simply come, let me start again. You come to your working directory, you open it. Now your workspace, you right click on it, you click on properties, then you copy the full file extension here. So let's copy it. Let's copy it, Control C, and we are done. Now let's come to your, what do we call it, to your RStudio. And how do we now how to load, let's say how to load our workspace. Okay, to load it, we simply have to use the load command. So we say load into brackets, we put into what do we call it, quotation marks, then we paste the work directory that we copied. Okay, so this is the work directory that we copied, and as usual, we change this, we also change this, sorry, and we also change this to, because R uses /, so everything has been changed perfectly. Now let's execute this command and see. So let me just, okay, now let's see what has happened. It has been able to load our workspace, you know, so it has been able to successfully load our workspace, and that's fantastic. Now that it has been able to load our workspace, what that means is that if I should say V once again, it should give me the results for V. V is our vector. But remember, after loading the workspace, after quitting R and loading, I haven't done anything. I didn't have to go through the script. But if I should just say V, it has given us V. If I should say print data, you see, it has given me what? My data, you know. But now, let me intentionally create the error that we are going to tackle. And this error is what we term as the error in readChar, whatever, this particular error. That what happens, why is that you are not able to load your workspace properly? Why are you not able to load any kind of data at all apart from your workspace? Why are you not able to successfully load something into R? So now let's tackle the error. Let's tackle this error. Let's tackle the error, the usual error over here. So the usual error over here, let me copy it and put it over there so that everything will be clear. I don't want us to miss any step. So let's copy this. It's nothing, I just want to put it there so that in case you are following the script, you can see everything that is there. So let's see why. Let's tackle this error. Why do we often have this error? When I was able to load my workspace successfully, I didn't have any problem, you know. So let's try to see why do we usually have this error sometimes. Okay, so to know why we usually have this error, sometimes it could be due to the fact that your working directory has changed. Sometimes it could be due to the fact that you haven't entered a particular command properly. Let's assume instead of, let's say, to load the workspace, what did I do? I use this command. I use load into brackets, into brackets. I then copy the file extension of my working directory. I said my working directory, my workspace that I'm trying to load, and came and kept it here and executed to load the working directory. But right now, let's assume I had done something like this. I had just written the name of the workspace or anything at all. I can just write anything. You know that this is the workspace is here. This is a file for the workspace that we've saved. If I should, it's called what? Workspace. Okay, so let's assume instead of the name, if I had written just workspace here, so I would have workspace, sorry, workspace. What happens? It gives me an error. It gives us this error that we are tackling. You see, it gives us an error in read character, whatever. This is the error that we are talking about. So it could be that you haven't written the thing properly, or it could also be that your working directory has changed or something. You see, so for instance, if I want to know my working directory, how do we know our working directory? We can say what? Get working directory. As usual, you open parentheses and then let's execute this to get our working directory and know our current working directory. So you realize that initially we set our working directory to be what? To be, to be documents, right? No, we change it from documents to working directory, the working directory folder that we created on the desktop. But when I stopped the PC and restarted again after I cleared the workspace, the working directory has changed back to the default, and it's now what? Working directory. So it has changed again. You see, however, since the file is on a C drive, it's still able to read it anyway. So it doesn't matter even if the file is on, because the file is still on the desktop is part of the C drive. The folder, the working directory is found on the, so maybe that's why it didn't give us any error. You see, but let's try to change the working directory. For instance, let's change the working directory to, let's set the working directory to something else. Let's set working directory. To do that, I wouldn't write the command again. Let's use the session command. And for instance, set the working directory to disk D. So let's try to set the working directory right now to something else. So we can set the working directory to, let's say D. Okay, so we choose working directory. Let's put it in disk D, for instance. Let's assume we are to use disk D as our working directory and see what will happen. Why is it misbehaving like that? Okay, so let's choose disk D, and then within disk D, I'll just create a folder called OK. And then I'll use this particular OK as my working directory. So this is another way. If you don't want to use the set work directory command, you can use this command to also do it. And you see it has set the working directory to disk D, as you can see. Okay, now let's assume right now in the course of my work I have set the working directory to disk D. Meanwhile, I have come to use this command trying to load my workspace. So if I should load my workspace from here, I don't know whether it will work, because right now I've set my sorry, this is not a command actually. So I've set my working directory to disk D. Meanwhile, my workspace is found on the folder working directory found on the desktop, that's in disk C. So let's execute this command and see whether we'll be able to get our working directory. It has still been able to execute it without any problem. So sometimes it's weird in actual sense, because we've set our working directory to disk D, yet R still has been able to what? To load our to load our file. Why does this happen? This happened because we are using the file extension here. So since we are using the file path, it doesn't matter where our working directory is. So whether our working directory is on disk C, disk F, or whichever drive that it is, the fact that we are using this file extension, R has no problem. It's able to locate the file for us. So usually when you have problems with working, but for certain data, you might have to set the working directory to be able to execute certain things. But for certain things, like, I don't know, when you have to load certain things, you may have to set the working directory. That's in case the command that you are using, let's say maybe loading the file does not require maybe the file extension, but when you are using the file extension, working directory does not really affect loading data into R. So I've seen a lot of people said, okay, it's because the problem is actually related to working directory. It's true, but in this context, since when you are loading a file and then you are using the file extension or the file path, there's no problem at all. You can still succeed. When you have this error, the problem might be that you did not write the right. For instance, let's assume within our suffix, sometimes you might be trying to write the suffix. I mean, instead of going to copy the file extension yourself, you might be trying to write it yourself. So let's assume I missed something here in the process. Of some people don't do that. Some people wouldn't come and click on the file. For instance, some people wouldn't do this. Some people wouldn't come and click on the file and then select properties, click on security, and copy it. Some people, they are very sharp. What they do is they start to write it themselves because they know where the file is located. So you just write on the C drive. For instance, I'll just start to write load blah blah blah, then I'll start to write into quotations. I write my C drive, and then I'll start to write everything. So when you start to write, what happens is that you are not a machine. You end up missing something. Let me show you a quick example. Let's assume sometimes you might miss the suffix. If it's an R data, if I should remove A here, the suffix is an R data. If I should remove A, it means it will give me the same error that we were talking about. You see, it has given me that error. So when you are loading data and you get this error, it's simply because you did not write your file extension very correctly. You did not write the exact file path. You made a mistake with the exact file path. If not, irrespective of your working directory, R should be able to give you this thing. But the file path in itself is your working directory, because you are directing R to copy the data from the desktop in a folder called working directory, and that the folder is called workspace, and that is what kind of file it is. It's an R data file, so you have to put the A. So this is the problem with working directory. The file path in itself is your working directory, and then so I think I don't have to explain once again. So always make sure you get the right file path, because if we should put back the A here as we've done, then it wouldn't give us an error. It's not only maybe the suffix, it could be something else within your file directory, or your file path. For instance, let's assume I've missed something. Probably the thing is on the on the desktop. Then maybe if I had kept D here or something, it will give us the same error. But if everything is perfect, if I should is within the C on whatever, if everything is perfect, then it's loaded without any error again. And then if I should print whatever that we're doing, if I should try to print something, let's say print data, it wouldn't give me any error. It gives us the data, and I didn't have to restart the script. So I can now continue from wherever that I stopped just by loading my R workspace that I saved on the desktop. I wouldn't emphasize much. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments box below and I will respond to you. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe.